Okay. You can probably cut here. I know I'm like, don't be complicated, but it's already complicated. So if we just defend, it feels very easy for white. Okay, what are we supposed to learn at single-digit Q? So we know basic defense. We know basic defense, but at single-digit Q, we're supposed to learn counterattacking, which is utilize weakness to settle. Okay, so Ataris, and then maybe we can turn. Go and do this. That seems very nice, right? It's utilizing Aji to settle. It requires reading. There's no cheat way around it. Something like this, you have to read. Does it help you or does it not? If I Nobi, Atari, or Atari, or Atari, or Atari, or Nobi, or Nobi. Do you have a simple response for everything? Now, how do we read at this level? Well, what does the Clossi approach say on how to read? Sean's go there. Okay. Clossi approach. How do I read? How do I read? That's how to study. Beginners. Okay. That's how to attack. Okay, it's under general ideas. I thought I simplified this, but apparently I haven't. Here's how to read. 1, 2, 3 reading. That's what you need to learn at single-digit Q. And then you need to get better by dawn. To get to dawn, you have to do 1 to 5 reading. Okay? There are 2 ways to use this. If you play 1, and then your opponent plays 2, and then you play and you play 3 to counter it, try thinking if you play the 3rd move first, does that make it better or worse? And same with 1 to 5. Okay, playing the 3rd move in a sequence or 5th move in a sequence in your head first. Try playing that move first, and sometimes it'll work. Okay, that's the first way to use it. The second way to use it is identify the options. 1, 2. This one's really crosscut's really not a great example for this, but you know we'll just start with this. Okay, those are the options. Those are the responses. Okay, so let's just apply 1 to 3 reading. Okay, we're not going to do the 3rd move first because that's just not possible. Thank you for the follow, Fabian. Welcome to the stream. Let me know if you have any questions. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, or 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is easy to read, right? It's easy enough. It takes time. It probably takes you a couple minutes. But it seems simple enough to read, right? So, we know that we can do that, but how do we take it and make it make sense? Okay, so first, 1, 2, 3. Is this good for white or bad for white? Probably bad for white. It's probably not that one. 1, 2, 3. Good for white or bad for white? Hard to say, so maybe that's an option. Maybe that's a contender. 1, 2, 3. Definitely bad for white. 1, 2, 3. That's a contender. 1, 2, 3. Bad for white, unless he wants to squeeze. 1, 2, 3. Bad for white, unless he wants to squeeze. 1, 2, 3. Bad for white. 1, 2, 3. Probably bad for white, unless he wants to squeeze. Okay, so if there's no squeeze plays, there's only 2 options. If he wants to resist. Otherwise, you just get a base. Okay? So 1 and 2. Those are the only options. Okay. Now, we've narrowed it down to those 2. Now let's go 1, 2, 3, and go 4, 5. So let's assume our opponent tries to resist. He has 2 options. 4. Okay, what's our response? Let's just go 5. Seems simple. And it still leads to a lot of possibilities. We can always sacrifice those 2 stones. So it leads to a lot of possibilities. 4. We can go 5 to connect, but that gives a Panuki, so maybe that's not good. Let's keep that shelved. 5. Still complicated, but very dangerous. So this one, 2, 3, 4, is a little scary. Okay? So that's probably the one White's going to choose. But what about here? 2, 3 leads to the same result. Okay? What about here? 4. So we can go down, we can turn. Okay? This is reading. I'm not doing 20, 30 moves down the road. Okay? I am doing 3 moves down the road, and then picking the good ones, and then going 5 moves down the road. How many moves did I just read in total? Okay. How many moves did I read in total? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, plus 10, 5 on each. So I read 22 moves. Okay? That is how you read. That is reading. From there, you look at the best ones, and you say, which ones are the likely results? Are you okay with them? If not, then go play the normal move. If you are, then try it. You read it out. It's okay. You can try. But this is how you read clever stuff. You have to come back and make the judgment call after you read. You have to say, this is what's going to happen. Like, one of these 2 options, or one of whatever. These are the options that are likely to happen. Am I okay with those options? Yes or no? Yes, do it. No, play the simple move. Okay, play your basics. But this is how you add on cleverness. Now, when you start learning this, it's going to be very, very slow. So I recommend playing with like 25 minutes while you practice this. And only practice it in the touching fights for now. Don't worry about the massive reading of non-touching battles. Just worry about the touching stuff. Just focus your reading on learning how to read touching fights. And you should only do this at 5Q plus, probably. Like, if you're about to be 5Q, or you're going above 5Q. That's how you learn how to read. Okay? Now, with that being said, you have to do it a lot. Okay? Go problems help with this, with your stone visualization. Go problems really help with stone visualization. That's why I say do go problems every single day, even if it's just 1 or 2. Because that way you visualize stones every single day. Stone visualization is very important. Because that way you notice liberties, you notice tsujis, you notice shapes and patterns. So you read 5 moves, then you notice a pattern. And from there you can say what the result is. Or you notice a certain shape. Like, for example, 1, 2, 3. You know that this stone can get captured to the wall. You just know that because it's a shape you recognize at this level. So you do that a lot. And you do go problems every day. And you practice that. Like every day for like a year. And eventually, you can read this in a few seconds. Like pros can read those variations in seconds. Probably 5 seconds or less. Maybe 10 seconds or less. A pro can read in a 10-second blitz game better than a Don can read in 2 minutes. 3 minutes. Okay? Accuracy and speed. That's why pros are so fast at reading. Okay? So I taught you how to read. Now I'm going to talk about reading efficiency. How do you get fast at it? Well, the first thing I would do is choose which ones are the ones that I'm going to look at first. The outside ones. So I'm going to look at this one, this one, this one, and this one first. And if I don't like any of those results, then I'll look at the inside ones. Or maybe I'll still look at the inside ones anyway, but I'm going to prioritize which ones I'll look at first. Maybe I'm in Byoyomi. I'm going to look at... If I'm in Byoyomi, I look at safety first. So I check the Nobis on the outside first. Okay, Nobi is the safe ones. You check the Nobis first. That way you can make it efficient. You check the safety first. Then you have extra time. Like maybe you do that in like 5 to 10 seconds. You have another 10 seconds Byo-Yomi, so you choose the extra one. So you've already made the decision of which one's the safest. Now you look at the extra one, see if there's anything else you can do. If you can, cool, do that. If not, then just click the safe ones. You've already made a good decision. You've already spent your time. And you get really, really good at reading within 10 to 20 seconds because you're reading only 3 or 4 moves, 3 to 5 moves, and you can read 5 moves in just a couple seconds after you get good at it, after you practice it hundreds of times. You can read 5 moves in like a couple seconds. From there, it's just prioritizing which ones you look at first. And then from there, it's making accurate judgment calls. And then from there, you read more when you have spare time. Like if you're in a tournament, I would read this stuff, but I'd probably read it 10 moves deep instead of just 5 moves deep. I would also consider tanukis. And then I might also count, depending on the situation. I might count the results of each one, count the territory changes of each one. Right? At a tournament, you just add on. The more time you have, the more layers you can add on. Yeah. Ideally, what I want you guys to practice doing, reading for longer than 2 minutes is usually unreasonable for an online game. If you're in a tournament, I would say reading longer than 5 minutes is probably too much. Unless it's like a life... I don't know. Just longer than 5 minutes is too much in a tournament. 5 minutes, you should be able to find an answer. Unless you have like 2 hours, that's different. But if you have like 45 minutes, 5 minutes for one move is the longest you should spend. On an online game, 2 minutes for one move is the longest you should spend. So, if you want to learn how to read, if you're single-digit Q and you want to learn how to read, you want to learn how to do this, my advice is start practicing doing this in 2 minutes, and then eventually speed up 3 to 5 moves deep to be within 30 seconds. Yeah, long think equals wrong think. The longer you spend on it, the more you'll overthink it. You just want to say, what is going to happen, which branch is the best. You want to be able to do this crosscut. If you want to learn how to read at a dawn level, like a low to mid dawn level, probably mid dawn, because low dawn's cheap. We have like shortcuts for reading. But if you want to read like a mid dawn, 10%, I don't know. It's just not a lot of percentage of your clock, okay? If you do, you can overthink it. You can waste time. You'll read unnecessary things that's irrelevant. You'll easily get distracted, or you could get tunnel vision. All of these bad habits or bad things can come about from overthinking. Just simplify your thinking. Just read out the basic responses, and of course consider Tanuki. And then read out just 3 to 5 moves deep. 3 moves deep while you're learning it, and then 5 moves, and then get that 5-move reading down to within 30 seconds. If you can do that, you can read in a Byo-Yomi period. And then if you have to, if a life and death problem comes about, then you can sacrifice a Byo-Yomi period and have a minute, and you'll be able to read twice this amount for a life and death problem. That way you can add on, for example, let's say you read it, and then you count it, because you're considering sacrificing it. Or maybe you consider a ko, so you count all the ko threats. Like, you never know. You'll have all this extra time. Once you get faster at it, you have all this extra time to do other things. But you still want to have a reasonable amount of time left for the rest of the game, so you don't overcommit to one move. So something like this, this is basically how you read. Okay. This is the basics of reading. To reiterate my most important point. So 3 to 5 move reading is how you read, but to reiterate, when you're trying to read and you're considering like clever things, you read it out, and then you judge. You cannot skip the judgment step. You have to read and you have to say, does these best branches for my opponent, because he's going to pick the best branch or whatever, but you should also pick the best branch. So if both players pick the best branch, does this result accomplish my goal? What was my goal? It was defense. Does this accomplish my goal? Yes or no? If yes, then cool, you can be clever. If no, then just freaking play simple. It's okay. You don't have to be clever every single turn. You played simple like this. It's fine. It's whatever. This shape should be better because Tiger's Mouth is usually a shape point. There's potential Aji to cut here, but it's okay. It's not the big deal. You're not going to play perfectly. But I'm trying to teach you like how you can add on cleverness. Eventually. You're not going to have it right off the bat. This is one really hard thing to learn. But your single-digit Q, it's time to learn the hard stuff, right? Do this slow. Okay? Do this slowly but surely. It'll probably take a year, maybe even 2 years before you get this reading trick down and make it fast. Like where you can read this out in seconds. It's missing from almost every Q player's game, okay? This is why Dawn players can just do whatever they want, because we can read in 30 seconds. Like, a Dawn player usually has been playing Go for 2 to 3 years on a regular basis. So, unless you're really fast, if you're really fast, you can get Dawn in a year. But then maybe your reading isn't up to speed with the other Dawn players, but your basics are probably really good. So if you get, like, a Dawn that can read, like, let's say their entire game is based on reading, and they just don't know the basics, they can read in 30 seconds what you can read in, like, 5 to 10 minutes. And they're going to just have better accuracy, better speed. So the last thing you want to do is blitz a Dawn player, especially a fighting Dawn player. There's 2 types of Dawns, like low Dawns. There's the basics Dawn, which is what I am, mostly. I can still read. I have, like, 12 years of Go experience, so I can still read. But my main skill is basics. And then there's the opposite. There's the fighter Dawns. There's 2 types of low Dawns. To get to high Dawn, you have to combine them. At 5 Dawn, you have to combine both. And to get to 7 Dawn. That's what I've been informed. Is I have to learn how to read and stuff, and so I've been working on it. But there's 2 types of Dawns. A Dawn with a lot of years experience is probably going to have good reading accuracy, but not good reading speed. A Dawn that's a fighter Dawn is probably going to be able to read very accurately, very fast, and very powerfully to cut and kill you. But their basics are probably going to be terrible. Okay? What I want to teach you is to start reading now, but still focus on the basics. And then if you do that, when you get to 5 Dawn, maybe you can even go to 7 Dawn. Like, this is how you get past my level, okay? This is how you get stronger than me. You take my advice and you surpass me. You learn this stuff while mastering the basics as a single-digit Q, like 5Q+. I do not recommend this for double-digit Qs. But if you start working on this now, and you don't have to be good at it, just start considering it. Just start practicing it while learning the basics. When you're a Dawn player, you'll have experience reading, and then you can take it even further. You can become stronger than a low Dawn. So that's why I'm not really putting that much emphasis on this move. I just thought this was a really great learning opportunity. Is the difference between this move and your move is the difference between someone who can fight and someone who just plays basics. To be strong, you have to be able to do both. But basics first. This is fine. I'm happy with this move. It's maybe not the ideal shape. I probably prefer this one. It still threatens the cut. It's a lot easier. It's a lot more connected. Has a tiger's mouth. So basics-wise, that one's probably better. But I want you to be able to start developing cleverness.